All right, and we're live. Hello and welcome to episode 18 of Read the Manga with Corey and Zach. This week we will be talking about Dragon Ball, specifically ranking our favorite Cybermen. Sit down, grab some popcorn because it's going to be about a 4-hour episode because we got detailed notes on every single Cyberman. What's your favorite, Corey?
The one that killed Yamcha.
Okay, and episode over. We're just going to go into episode 2, talking about the Saiyan and Vegeta and Frieza sagas. Basically, everything after King Piccolo up until Goku goes Super Saiyan and wrecks Frieza's shit. So, we last left
the quintessential, I guess, like mostly known part of Dragon Ball Z. I think.
Yes, this is the one. So basically, we're going to the beginning of when power levels started to be used to the ending of when power levels stopped being used. But people still don't shut the fuck up about them.
Because before that, you just had like rock, paper, scissors. Like Goku beat Tien, Tien beat Krillin, So
yeah, it was like it was a vague thing of like I sense that guy's ki and it's really fucking big. And this time they got guys from other planets coming down with little scouter things, taking people's power levels and putting a numerical value on people's fighting ability, which, spoiler alert, does not work out very well for the bad guys. Turns out there's...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it just turns out that you can't really put a tangible number on somebody's fighting ability because the Z fighters are able to fluctuate their power levels, which the bad guys can't do.
They make it a point straight up, like, when Raditz was scanning Piccolo and he did his special beam cannon, or, what was it, killing light?
Kiku Mekatsu Maka, that one?
Something. But
okay.
Yeah, he was like, oh, his power level is rising, but it's only on his fingers. So it's like,
yeah, exactly.
Essentially,
they can concentrate their energy to a single point.
Yeah, and it's essentially like they just have key gauges. They didn't know they're gauging key, or they just call fighting power key on Earth or whatever.
Yeah,
but that's a funny thing too. Like, even like, okay, so we get into this point where transformations are kind of brought in. Power levels fluctuate, all that stuff. That's kind of like a lot of hallmarks of Dragon Ball right there. Like the Kaioken is the precursor to like Super Saiyan, I'd say.
Kaio what?
Yeah. What the hell is a Namek?
But yeah, okay, so to give a little intro, if we're talking to one of the 3 people who hasn't seen the Frieza and Saiyan sagas, basically when we last left Goku, he had defeated Piccolo Jr. at the World Tournament, and we cut to 5 years later. He's married Chi-Chi, he's had a child. Every single one of his friends is freaked out that Goku actually had sex because they did not think he was capable of that. Comes, brings his little 4-year-old. Gohan's got a little Dragon Ball on top of his head. It's the Grandpa's 4-star ball, who Gohan is named after. And the most interesting thing about this is that this whole intro at the Kame house, when he comes through with Gohan and they reunite, this is going to be a lot of people's first introduction to these characters because, as we all know, Dragon Ball Z was shown in the West before Dragon Ball. So we just, for a lot of people, and for me included, this was my very first introduction to these people of just like, okay, some random guy in orange with spiky hair, he's got a kid, some blue-haired chick.
His kid, they punch and kick each other. His brother from space came to kick his hillbilly ass.
So this is where Dragon Ball goes through a huge kind of narrative and tonal shift where it goes from being like kind of a parody of Chinese legends and kung fu films to being much more of like a science fiction thing where Toriyama starts to take influence more from like 80s sci-fi action movies like Terminator and stuff, basically showing this whole society that exists in space where you have Frieza and his whole planet corpse that go around and like basically their whole trade is they annihilate all of the life on the planets and then sell them at retail price or whatever.
Yeah, and they're like a real estate based like mafia organization.
Yeah, Frieza is like the shittiest real estate agent you've ever met, and he uses the Saiyans, who are Goku's race, as forced labor. So we figure out that Goku is one of these Saiyans. It's basically these super powerful monkey people that go around murdering folks for fun and profit.
And you got Superman yeeted to Earth.
Mm-hmm. And then
so essentially, Saiyan Saga is just like Zod. And then
just like what?
The Saiyan Saga is just like the Zod stuff and Superman. Like his own people come back, but they're bad.
Yeah, the early plot of Dragon Ball Z is the plot of Superman 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but and, it works though. I mean,
it does.
It's like it's funny because it kind of keeps the ball rolling, kind of like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Every subsequent chapter is just weirder than the last, and like with Dragon Ball, it's like, I'm sorry, it's still funny that you want it to be Dragon Ball 2.
and you didn't know how to draw 2.
Yeah, it just became a Z.
The
2 warriors was sounded.
The 2 warriors. Well, I mean, the 2 warriors make sense because at any given time, there's really only 2 of them that are relevant. Everyone else just kind of stands around and gets killed.
Yeah, if you're a TN fan, just enjoy it for right now, and not really. Like,
just wait till the Cell Saga. You'll get your TN moment.
Go yourself.
But I think one of the interesting things about this is when this becomes like a thing where after Goku fights Piccolo, we know he's like the most powerful guy on Earth, and these other guys come and they seem like the next level of power. And this is the last. So the Saiyan Saga and the Frieza Saga is the last time I feel like Toriyama made these huge power jumps, but made the huge power jumps feel like they actually meant something. You know what I mean? Where it was like, you get Vegeta that comes down and he is more powerful than anything that Goku's ever faced. But like the Z Warriors are up for it. They're able to fight him, like barely fight him off. And they find out that there are these other groups, this other group that like is Frieza's squadron or whatever. And he's got about a dozen warriors that are stronger than Vegeta. And then Frieza himself towers above all of them. And that first, we're skipping ahead a little bit, but on Namek, when Krillin and Gohan are basically hiding around and they slip into that cave and Frieza and his guys fly by and they're sensing their ki, and Krillin's basically like, holy crap, did you feel that? And Gohan's like, yeah, they were all strong. And Krillin's like, yeah, they were all strong, but like that little guy in the front, like that's a whole nother realm of power. And that's something I really love about the Namek Saga, that they're basically stranded there. They have to wait for Goku. They don't really have any resources. They are vastly outnumbered and outgunned, and they're basically just surviving. And that's one of I honestly think Dragon Ball tends to work best when it's a group of characters fighting against the odds and just trying to run away from the really powerful guys until either Goku can come or they can get strong enough to fight him. But the tension generated by the Z fighters being completely outmatched by their competition and essentially like having to run for their lives at any given second, I think is makes the Namek Saga something special, because we don't really see that in Dragon Ball Z after this, you know?
Yeah, like the whole like it kind of fits with the whole theme, like, or thing with Frieza being an alien, kind of like the movie Alien. Like, he's a murderous alien, and they're trapped on a planet with him out in the open, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just like that kind of like he's a very intimidating character, especially once he gets to his final form. Like, he the soulless look in his eyes for when he finally hits his transformation. You know, that's one of my favorite panels. Is just seeing him there, because you're supposed to think it's like so unintimidating, because they even are like awkwardly like, he got smaller. Is that a good thing? But like, as a reader, we could see like that. We could tell like there's something not right about this. There's something very off. This is a very scary character. Kind of like the new Piccolo for that, the new King Piccolo for that part, essentially.
But so much they build up Frieza so much more than they build up Piccolo, which I love. Like, it feels like forever from when Frieza's introduced to when like the Z Warrior is even close to his level to be able to fight him. Like, they are terrified of Frieza till the very end. Like, at least like in the Piccolo saga, like Goku and Roshi and Tien, they thought they stood a chance and they actually went and fought Piccolo. Whereas like with Frieza, even Vegeta, the most prideful Saiyan in the fucking galaxy, thinks he is the absolute shit. Even Frieza knows, or no, even Vegeta knows he's completely outmatched by Frieza for the majority of the Namek Saga.
Yeah, he starts crying. Because
Well, yeah,
I
later on when he thinks he's a match for Frieza, and then can we just kind of go like beat by beat for Vegeta's story in this? Because I feel like the story of the Namek saga is one, the story of the Saiyans in general, and two, the story of Vegeta specifically.
yeah.
But
So it's rereading it and seeing like Vegeta come into the picture because I don't know, we could kind of talk about Raditz and the whole Piccolo team up, and it was cool to see Goku meet King Kai. Like those were key
yeah,
parts before Vegeta showed up. But
but Raditz is there as a starter villain. He's
yeah,
like there to like basically start off the arc and show that next level of power that he's as strong as a fucking Cyberman. Like, come
yeah,
on.
and it's like when I kind of get how people are like Vegeta is like a murderous, horrible person. Like, why would people be fans of him and this and that? But the thing that is kind of weird, like rereading it, is like the beats aren't off. Like every single freaking character they've ever met was a murderous asshole by this point. Even Yamcha tried to murder them. So
Yeah.
like by this point, Vegeta's just a stronger, more arrogant version of most of the characters they've met.
So he's basically a stronger, more arrogant Yamcha.
Yeah,
And that's why Bulma went for him.
that's a funny thing. Is like when Bulma eventually does see Vegeta, and she's just like, "Oh, look at you! Well, don't try to hit on me, ha ha ha," and walks away. Like no hesitation. Like and like people were like, "Why did Bulma get with Vegeta? That's so weird." It's like, yeah, it's like one panel, but literally Bulma hit on Vegeta the moment she saw him, even though he's like, well, that was later. When they first met, he threatened to kill her with Krillin and then ran off. But
Yeah.
but that was Namek. What happens on Namek stays on Namek.
Yeah, what happens on Namek stays on Namek. But I guess what's so interesting about the Vegeta character is that he takes so long to kind of come around. Like Piccolo, basically at the very beginning, Piccolo teams up with Goku, even though he's the villain of the last arc. And then suddenly, a volume later, Piccolo's taken Gohan into the woods to train him. And Gohan's like, I don't think you're that bad of a guy. And then a volume after that, Piccolo's sacrificing himself for Gohan. Like Piccolo's transformation, like Piccolo's face turn is pretty abrupt, but like it makes like it's logical for the character. Like I like how Toriyama did it. But with Vegeta,
Yeah,
he
because his whole
comes.
goal of getting Gohan stronger is so that he has a better chance of surviving when Vegeta and Nappa show up.
Yeah, but like at his core, Piccolo was also just kind of a lonely guy, and just
I
having
love when
somebody to
he
just.
gives him he makes him his outfit, and he changes the
Mhm.
back of it to say Ma on it, like demon.
Oh yeah, to say demon,
And he
yeah.
kind of laughs like, "Heh, yeah, take that."
But that's one of those things that I love about Toriyama of like how he tells the story through clothing, like the way Goku's gi evolves as he changes masters, and he slowly develops more and more symbols on it to represent King Kai and Master Roshi, and then eventually has no symbols on it, kind of representing that he's like not reached the peak, but he has reached master status. He does. There's nobody that can really teach him anything anymore. Same thing with Vegeta and his armor. As like his armor slowly comes off, the more and more he becomes an Earthling, and like even with Gohan, where he's like this little kid in his like kind of school clothes or whatever, and then Piccolo changes him, and he's like, "If you're gonna be a warrior, you're gonna dress like a warrior. I'll put you in your father's clothes, but because I'm training you, I'm gonna put my symbol on your back." And that's the perfect sort
King
of
Kai did the same
represent
thing.
what?
King Kai
Yeah,
did
King Kai
it.
did the same thing.
Goku didn't
But with,
know. Goku was like, "Oh, thank goodness, this still has a turtle symbol. I thought you were gonna put some dumb like King Kai symbol on here." And then like
and
on
then
his
he's got
back
a
is
big
King
one.
Kai's. Yeah, the big one on his back is King Kai's. He's like, "Well, I like it."
But yeah, so
Which makes
but
sense
yeah,
because if Goku's like the strongest guy, you want to advertise you trained him.
yeah. But yeah, so but like with Vegeta, so he comes to Earth as a murderous sociopath, murders Nappa, has like who like Nappa's surprised that Vegeta turns on him. Like that doesn't seem like a normal thing for the Saiyans. Like normally it seems like they'd have at least some sense of honor, but Vegeta's like straight up like cold-blooded killer. Like you're useless to me, I'm gonna blow you up. And later on he fights Goku, obviously, basically wins, but then Goku's friends come and kind of like help him out, and it's a very long, arduous, grueling battle. But they finally defeat Vegeta. Goku lets Vegeta go because he wants to fight him again later, and Krillin's like, "You're fucking insane, but I respect you, so I'm gonna let him
Yeah,
go."
that was a
So
weird thing, but I guess Yeah, because like he literally just killed like three people. Chaozu, Yamcha, and Tien.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
and,
this is
and
all
Piccolo.
but this is kind of like also the beginning of Goku getting in touch with his Saiyan roots and really like his thirst for battle is really coming out, and that ends up being
Yeah.
all like he gets tunnel vision in fights. Like all he wants to do is fight the strongest guys. But so Vegeta goes off, gets healed up, decides he's going to rebel against Frieza, take the Namek Dragon Balls, and then try and become immortal. Krillin and Gohan end up getting to Namek with the same goal, try and get the Namek Dragon Balls to revive their friends that Vegeta and Nappa killed, and it ends up straight up just becoming like Vegeta, Krillin, and Gohan have to team up because they have a common enemy. Vegeta is not any less evil than Frieza. They just need to wipe out the bigger fish. But then throughout the course of the fighting, and Vegeta eventually like fighting alongside the Earthlings, not really liking them, but fighting alongside them, there's that whole breakthrough moment where he thinks he's become a Super Saiyan, and then Frieza just fucking decimates him, and he cries for the first time. Like that is just like the ultimate like his pride being completely shattered. And at the end, when Goku comes and Vegeta's like with this dying breath basically tells the man that he hates most, like, you have to avenge the Saiyan race and kill this motherfucker. And the fact that he's all teary-eyed when he does it, like, I feel like Toriyama, to get such an irredeemable character as Vegeta and take him on that journey throughout essentially two arcs and do it in such a uh, believable way to where Vegeta always feels like he's acting like Vegeta. Toriyama doesn't have to go out of his way to make Vegeta seem like a good guy. Every part of Vegeta's journey seems very natural. It's kind of an incredible thing. I think Toriyama's writing of Vegeta is probably the strongest character he's ever written.
Second strongest usually.
Oh,
Because he's a foil for like, we need to make sure this guy is pretty strong, and everybody knows he's pretty strong.
Yeah, it's like Goku. Like later on, it becomes a joke where Goku's like, "Yeah, I'll let Vegeta fight first because I know he's gonna fuck it up."
Yeah, he just needs to stop going first.
Yeah. It's like I'm going first in the hyperbolic time chamber, and Goku's
thing, though, is like, as far as like his ethics go, like, yeah, he was a bad guy. He killed a shit ton of people. Like when he first showed up, I mean, that was his alien job. I think as far as like evil goes, like, you know, I don't know, he's kind of evil, but like Frieza is definitely evil, but Vegeta, you could say like, like he definitely liked enjoying like what he did, but it's like, I don't think it's like irredeemable by Dragon Ball world standards. Maybe by normal ethical standards, but by this point, like I said, Yamcha was like, we're just gonna murder them. Like that means he's obviously had no qualms against doing it. He's probably done it.
But
Tien was a student of an assassin school, so obviously he's killed a lot of people, and he even said, "I've done a lot of horrible things and killed a lot of people. I need to like come back on." And Roshi was like, "You shouldn't be an assassin." So like by the world standards are a set of the guys who are turned good. Vegeta's kind of in the same ballpark ethically. It's like weirder to think like Piccolo ends up siding with them to a certain degree because he was like stated to be made of pure evil, and
So I like what you're getting at, and I think you're right.
If they're still bad, they're still bad. Like I'm not saying but by their world standards, Goku, has befriended multiple people that are all sociopaths.
I know. I understand your point, but the reason I wouldn't compare somebody like Yamcha to somebody like Vegeta, even though Yamcha does like try and murder people, is because like there's very much a tonal difference in early Dragon Ball to like early Dragon Ball Z, where Yamcha, yeah, sure, he tried to kill them, but like you don't take him seriously as a threat. Like that's not what the manga is going for. Like his whole thing is that he's like afraid of women. Like he becomes a very emasculated, harmless character pretty soon after that. Like just because he tried to kill him doesn't mean he was able to. Like it's almost like Yamcha's incompetence kind of makes him less evil, whereas like Vegeta feels like a pure.
Well, because he's successful.
Because he's successful, but like I feel like Toriyama does make a point to like point out that he's more ruthless than the average Saiyan. Like I don't think Nappa was as gleefully violent as Vegeta was, I mean, Nappa was gleefully violent, but at least Nappa kind of felt like he had some camaraderie with Vegeta, whereas like to Vegeta, Nappa was just a pawn. So it's like if it had been different and like Vegeta had died and Nappa had lived, I feel like Nappa could have easily become a Z warrior with less of a transitionary period than Vegeta did.
Oh, Namek can get the Dragon Balls, and we're gonna bring back the friends I killed. I'm really sorry about that, little bald man. It's all right, big bald man.
uh,
Nappa actually
but
turns Super Saiyan. His mustache just goes all white beard.
yeah,
Goku's just like, thank goodness Nappa came.
yeah, Nappa saved everybody.
You seriously need to read the time I got reincarnated as Yamcha. Like at one
I
point, they
know.
straight up say that is a massive power level coming towards us, and Goku's like, it's got to be Yamcha. Thank goodness. And I'm just like, oh my god.
Oh, but imagine if Nappa had been the one to kill Frieza. Like if he had become a Super Saiyan and killed Frieza, and Frieza's just like sitting there, like, really? I was killed by fucking Nappa. Couldn't have even been Vegeta.
Now we're getting into like some weird like Xenoverse 2 side mission stuff.
Yeah, but one thing I know we haven't really talked about the Sand Saga much. We kind of just jumped into Namek, which Sand is basically kind of a precursor to the Namek Saga. But I really love the relationship between Frieza and Vegeta. Like I like how Frieza kind of like treats Vegeta with some degree of respect and kind of like he talks down to him, but he still sees him as a worthy subordinate. Like he still sees him as kind of a threat, and like he doesn't really underestimate him, which I kind of like about Frieza's character, where he's just like I remember there's one point where Frieza and Vegeta are talking, and Frieza's pissed off at him, and they're finally confronting each other because like basically Frieza thinks that Vegeta used his wish, and Vegeta's like, no more Mr. Vegeta or my dear. And it was just kind of a funny like in joke between two people who have known each other for a very long time. It's almost like
I wish there were chapters where you could see them just walking through the hallway, like at work.
yeah, just like shooting the shit, like, oh, how'd that extermination of that planet go? And Vegeta's just like, oh, it went pretty well. And he's like, oh, you got the report for it on my desk by tomorrow. And Vegeta's like, I'll have it by Thursday. And Frieza's like, you're lucky I don't kill you like I did your father. but I kind of think of Frieza and Vegeta's relationship kind of akin to the relationship between Dr. Kelso and Dr. Cox and Scrubs.
Yeah, like they're both in the same job and industry, and like
Like,
essentially, if you think about Frieza's a prince because King Cold, so it's like
yeah,
they're both in like the same kind of like social standing, but Vegeta's like a nomad prince. He has no kingdom.
yeah,
So it's kind of like Frieza's just like kind of like you know holding it over Vegeta's head, like neener neener. I actually have an empire. I have lackeys. What do you have? You have pride.
yeah.
That's it. That's
But
another interesting thing about Vegeta, because like Toriyama didn't have to write that like Frieza was a prince or anything, but he did.
mhm.
I feel like it really worked for it in that sense, where it really shows like everybody talks about Goku and Frieza, but there's definitely that rivalry and dynamic between Vegeta and Frieza.
Yeah, which is like I like that you don't realize like he doesn't introduce King Cold until after all the Namek shit, and then once you
Princess
get
Trunks.
yeah, well, no, once Frieza's father King Cold comes in at the beginning of the Trunk saga, you're just kind of like, oh, that makes sense. Frieza's just a spoiled daddy's boy. Like that, like his personality makes so much more sense now. Like before, we just saw him as this crazy ruler tyrant. We didn't really think of him as having parents, and then suddenly King Cold comes along, and he basically brings his dad to clean up his mess. And you're like, oh, this is like the rich kid who got his ass kicked, and then calls his dad with a lot of money, and is like, Dad, fucking come kick this guy's ass for me. Like,
I was gonna say the last time we saw him, he was burnt ass sashimi.
yeah.
Also, I want to point that out. Who taught Trunks how to use a sword?
Tapion, according to one of the movies.
I was gonna say Gohan, because he was his master. Trunks stated in the manga, at least, that Gohan was his sole master, who
Mm-hmm.
trained him martial arts. Now people are like, well, how does
And
Trunks have a sword? Well,
in
who
the Sand
also gave
Saga,
him a sword? Piccolo taught him
Piccolo.
how to use a sword.
I never put that together. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Trunks's martial arts grandpa is Piccolo.
Huh. That makes sense that Gohan would have been the one to give Trunks his sword, just the way
Also,
Piccolo gave Gohan the sword.
which arm does Gohan lose? His left arm. Which
I
arm
thought
does
he was
Piccolo lose all the time in battle?
his left arm.
Yeah.
Damn,
There's
fucking
so many,
Toriyama.
and it's beautiful because it's like Gohan was like tough on Trunks, even though he's a kind character. But it's like the
Mhm.
same thing like Piccolo. So
Mhm.
there's like so many dynamics between Piccolo's training at Gohan that carries over to his training at Trunks in the future.
That makes a lot of sense.
I don't
Do you
know.
think? Do you think Piccolo did, or do you think Gohan did the same shit where he just got like a 5-year-old Trunks and just left him in the woods with a sword?
Hey man, my dad died right before this happened. Mine did too. All right, then we're in the same boat. Do it.
You better learn to dodge. Because wait, if Trunks is 5, then Gohan would have been about how old would Gohan? Gohan would have been about 15 when Trunks was 5, right? They're about 10-year difference, 9-year difference.
Yeah, he's called Teen Gohan in the games and stuff, but wasn't he only like nine
It's like
or 10?
11.
Yeah,
He was, he
nine
was
or
like he
ten
was
or
like 10 or
yeah,
he
he
was
was
10 or 11, yeah.
he fought
Because
when he fought Cell. Yeah.
if you count the year in the hyperbolic time chamber, then he was 11.
Okay.
Yeah,
So if you don't count it because he didn't do that in the other one, then
yeah.
yeah, he was probably around Goku's age at the beginning of Dragon Ball Z when he was training Trunks. So
No,
eventually,
I don't think so. Because like I said, they're about a so okay. Trunks' future gets decimated by the androids. Trunks is a baby. When Trunks is a baby, Gohan's about 10. So if he starts training Trunks when Trunks is about like 7 or 8, then Gohan would have been like 17, 18. Because Gohan dies when he's about 23 in the future timeline, and Trunks is about 12 or 13, I think.
yeah, because he was like Gohan's age when he had to fight Cell. That's why
Yeah,
it's like Toriyama's really good at that parallel thing and callbacks.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
see,
And
that shows how Saiyan Saga even travels as far as to the Android Saga in like themes and stuff. Like
yeah,
he kind of sidelined it for a bit, but then like it comes back and it's like
yeah.
that
I
relationship
mean,
with Gohan and Piccolo doesn't disappear either. Like he wears Piccolo's purple outfit, for a little while.
yeah. I mean, to Toriyama, he's not the best writer of plot in the world, but he is a very good storyteller, and he is a very thematically consistent.
And he knows how to use his characters when they're in certain positions and talking to certain characters.
Yeah,
I
like
really like that.
there's a lot of subtle dialogue in Dragon Ball that reveals a lot about different characters. Like that whole monologue when Mr. Popo takes Bulma to the ship, and he kind of tells Bulma about like his conversation with Kami-sama when Kami was telling about like how he might be an alien, and like he came because like I kind of think of Piccolo and Goku as sort of like a yin and yang opposites. They both came from alien families. They were both dropped off as children. They didn't know where they were, who they were. They kind of had to make it on their own in the wilderness, and eventually uh, it was Goku's good side that kind of came through after he hit his head, but then Piccolo's evil side that came through after he separated from Kami.
They were both saved by Gohan.
They were both saved by Gohan. No, you're right.
Dude, it just keeps going like.
Yeah, everything fits into place.
I love how like they was it Nappa and Vegeta stand there and they're like, oh, he's a Namekian, and then like it cuts to Kami and Piccolo like Popo. It like Popo's like, are you okay, sir? And Kami's just standing there like hell of intense, like I've always had a feeling, but I never assumed. That explains the antennas. Like he
It
points out, like
doesn't.
he's always thought the antennas were weird, but he just couldn't figure
It
out why
doesn't.
he had them.
It doesn't explain the fact that you have green skin and purple blood, though. You never really thought about that,
No,
or
that's
no
why
penis.
that's why I think it's great. He just thinks
Yeah,
about
the
antennas.
antennas were the only thing that seemed weird. But like, I do also like the symbolism of Goku having the 4-star ball, which was his most prized position, and him putting it on Gohan's hat as a representation that Gohan, like the memory of his grandfather Gohan, has been transferred to his son Gohan, and that 4-star ball that was his most prized possession of his most loved one has been transferred to Gohan, which is now his most prized possession and his most loved one. It's all so there's such a great thematic through line of like you know everything about how much Gohan means to Goku just based on the fact that Goku put that 4-star ball on his head
Yeah, you
and
know,
made him a target for everybody who might want the Dragon Balls.
well, in Goku's words, any bad people he beats, they'll just come back. He'll beat them again. You know,
Yeah,
he's doling out lessons left and right. but
yeah.
but it's funny to meme about Goku being a bad dad because of the whole like Cell
He's
Saga stuff.
he's not
Which,
the best dad,
but here's
but
the
he's not
thing:
terrible.
like the Cell Saga stuff's really the only big example of him not being like a good dad. Forcing Gohan to fight and stuff. Like he never did that before. Like he always tried to keep Gohan from fighting on Earth. Even up till the Saiyan saga, like he wasn't expecting Gohan to be one of the people that try and defend Earth after he died. He was figuring like they beat Raditz and that'd be it, and then Goku died.
Well,
So
Goku knew that there were two Saiyans
oh
coming.
yeah,
Raditz
and he
told him
told
that.
he told Piccolo to train Gohan.
Well, he didn't tell him, but he assumed that Piccolo probably would, and Piccolo
Yeah,
did. So Goku dies. He has the ability to communicate with Earth, but he chooses not to. And he doesn't tell his wife that a green monster that he had fought to the death 5 years ago
poor
is
Chi
now
Chi.
taking care. Yeah, no, Chi Chi's made out to be a bitch and stuff, but like Chi Chi's
She's
got like,
not. She's the
yeah,
most
no,
grounded character in the series. Like even Bulma's not grounded. Like
she's just a concerned mother. Yeah,
Chi-Chi's just
dude.
like, let's get the children away from the battle. And Bulma's like, I'm gonna take my baby with me to go see this alien dictator guy. Oh no.
Yeah, but
But
like but that's one of those things where it's like I could see Chi Chi becoming that character, which I like. And like it tracks based on what we knew about her in Dragon Ball that she would become like a very protective mother, especially having Goku as a husband where she kind of needs to be. But like so Goku as a dad, let's just rack up his dad points in the Sand Saga. Let's do this for each subsequent episode and see okay. So here's the game that we're going to do. We're going to look at all of his decisions as a father in this and tally them up as a positive or a negative and see if we can come out with Goku being a good or a bad dad by the end. So, first dad thing. Probably going to rescue his son. I would put that in the good dad category. Leaving his son to fend for himself with a green alien. Do you put that in the good category or the bad category? Do you think that's responsible father material?
so in that situation, Goku's laying there bleeding out after killing his brother. So I wouldn't be able to think super clearly myself. But I believe when he was faced with the concept that like two guys stronger than that guy are showing up and he
Yeah.
may be coming back, but that's not 100% a possibility. In
Yes.
that Piccolo's the only other strong guy, but they just had a hard time with this guy together. So they both know that they're going to need any help they can get. And they just saw Gohan have potential that even they could never see. Like, Gohan was stated to be significantly more powerful than these two guys when he was angry. So, given that right there, when you're presented with like Goku and Piccolo trained for years to get to their levels, and Gohan just throwing a tantrum is able to like be 10 times stronger than them, I could see how it would be like he could be like our ace in the hole, like. And
All right.
but here's the thing too. He's dead, and by this point, nobody can talk to ghosts. Nobody can talk to dead people. So he does get the chance to talk, but I think when he first met King Kai, he wasn't really. I don't think he doesn't find out he could communicate till like a little bit later on,
Yeah,
and
until
then
he meets King Kai. Yeah.
yeah, but
But he
then
could still send a message through Kami because Kami was going back to Earth.
I think
He could
that's up
still
to
let his
Kami.
wife
You
know.
you you think Kami would have thought that? Then again,
Okay. So
Kami has been proven to be an incompetent god to a certain
yeah.
degree. Not completely incompetent. Like I love the King Enma back and forth where Yemma or Emma, where he's like, did a guy who looked like me come by here? He's like, Raditz? Oh yeah, straight to hell. And he's like, you fought him? He's like, oh yeah, kicked his ass. And he's like, you must be strong. I should just learn from you. And then Kami's like, no, you don't want to learn from him. You want to learn from King Kai. King Kai is way stronger. And King Emma is just like looking at Kami like, what was that? And Kami's just like,
King Enma is such an underrated character, though. Like, I love when Kami's having. I love when Kami's having his internal monologue and like it's all dramatic, and Enma's like, "Hey, quit thinking so loud."
I think the whole like in My Hero Academia, Deku.
Oh wait! I still want to tally up Goku dad points.
Oh,
so the Gohan thing, leaving him to get trained by Piccolo, I'm gonna chalk that up as neutral.
Yeah,
it had to be done. So he's at 1 dad point right now. So then Goku comes back, saves everybody, saves Gohan from Nappa. I'm not going to chalk that up as a good dad point because,
that's a good dad point.
But of course you're going to save your fucking son. Like, that's a given.
He still gets a point for it.
Okay, I'll give him another good dad point.
Of course, you're going to shoot a basket in a basketball game, Point.
Okay, and then I think later on, when Goku is laying there with his ribs broken after the fight with Vegeta, and he basically encourages Gohan to fight Vegeta, I think it was it was probably all he could have done at that point.
Was it Goku who told Gohan to look at the moon during the fight with Vegeta? Yeah, it was Goku who told Gohan to look at the moon, so then Gohan got back in the fight as a grade 8 for like 2 minutes, and Vegeta cut off his tail.
Okay, so I'm not going to put that as a dad point because Gohan didn't really know what was going on.
No, I was going to say that could be a counter dad point. That could, or neutral.
Do you think that's
maybe neutral? Yeah, neutral dad point.
I'd say that's a neutral dad point. So I'm going to keep Goku at 2 right now, and then afterward,
he's still better than Baki's dad or Gon's dad or a lot of other manga dads. There's some really bad dads out there. I know it's not.
I know, but my point is, at the very end of all of this, after we're doing Cell and Majin Buu, we will have an objective measure of whether Goku's a good dad based on how many dad points he has. I have a Word document up called Goku Dad Points, and we're going to keep this going throughout the whole cast.
I actually think when the series starts, he's a really good dad, and then there's some moments that just pop up here and there that really make you question it. Like
he has to make some tough decisions. So next point I want to go to is when he's in the hospital and Gohan wants to go to Namek to resurrect everybody, and Chi-Chi's like, absolutely not. And Gohan kind of snaps at her and says, like, it's my fault that Piccolo died. I want to go help him out. And I want to go find these Dragon Balls and resurrect our friends. Goku encourages him, and he's basically like, Chi-Chi, let him go. He wants to do it. Let him be a man. He's 5 years old now. He's got to go to an alien planet by himself. Good dad point or bad dad point? What do you think?
I'd say... See, that's the thing, though. Like, neutral dad point. If they don't have, like, it's one of those things where it's like every situation these characters have been given are tough decisions to make, but they're bigger than them, and they still go to do them because it's bigger than them. They know their world needs the Dragon Balls to be safe. They know that there are Dragon Balls somewhere. Everybody knows Krillin can't do it on his own, and even with Bulma going. So it's like one of those things where the only other person that could go why did they ask Tien or Yamcha?
They were dead.
Oh yeah, they're dead. So there you go. Nobody else to ask.
Yajirobe.
Too fat, not going.
Okay, so I guess on the one hand, it's good that Goku backed up his son and is basically like, I appreciate the decision that you're making and I stand by it.
Well,
but it's also
what could they have done? Goku was laid out in a bed. He could have tried to talk Gohan down, but by that point, Gohan was not going to listen to either of them.
Gohan was 5 years old.
He was 6.
No, he was 5. He was
like 5.5 or 5 3/4.
Either way, he's a fucking first grader.
For Saiyans, it's probably like dog years. It's probably like middle age.
Okay. I'm putting that down as a neutral dad point, so Goku's still at 2 dad points. All right, so next dad point.
He shows up and he saves him
Shows up and he saves him. Does that count as a dad point because he gave his son a senzu bean? Okay, so he gives his son a senzu bean, and I'm not going to count that as a good dad point, but I will count his pep talk when he basically tells Gohan, like, hey, like, you did a really good job. Thanks for holding down the fort. And I will also count when Gohan's fighting Ginyu and Goku basically says, you've got way more power than you think you do. You can beat this guy, fight him even though he looks like me, and gives Gohan the courage to be able to fight him. So I'm going to have that whole situation. I'm going to say that's worth one dad point. What do you think?
Yeah, letting your kid beat the shit out of you is a dad point.
All right. So he's at 3 dad points. Yeah. He's doing pretty good. Holy shit. All right. What's the next one?
Better than other dads.
You say he ends up coming through afterward. He gets healed up, fights Frieza, becomes a Super Saiyan. Krillin dies, and then he snaps at Gohan, but he orders him to go back to the ship, find Bulma, and get out of there. Goku did the responsible thing as a dad, said, hey, go find the adults, the one other adult on this planet, get in the ship and leave.
Also, Goku was like super raging hard from Super Saiyan. Like, it was stated that he was like, I'm losing sense of myself. I'm becoming battle crazy, and you need to go because it's just going to be me and this alien dude fighting until the planet's done.
All right, so I put that as a dad point, but when Namek blows up, and he doesn't tell anybody that he's still alive. They got to learn that from the fucking dragon. And 2, he refuses to come back because he wants to train with the Yardratians or whatever and learn how to teleport. And he spends 2 years training on their planet and misses a huge part of Gohan's childhood. I'm putting that as a bad dad point. I don't think that was cool.
Neutral even though he got point.
No, that's a bad dad point, bro.
Neutral dad point.
That's a bad dad point. Like, come on, he's already up 4. We can take 1 off. Like, that was a shitty move.
I don't know. When you are faced with crazy stuff like that, all Goku knows is fighting. So, like, he needs to get tools in his toolbox.
Yeah, but he has a fucking kid.
My thing is, though, like, so he flew off on Frieza's broken-ass spaceship, right? The one that Vegeta blew a hole in. And, like, he somehow operates a foreign enemy spaceship somehow. Like, well, time to sit down. Flies and then
he doesn't use Frieza's spaceship. He finds one of the Ginyu Force spaceships and just punches a button and it goes to Yardrat because the Ginyu Force was going to destroy Yardrat beforehand. Frieza's spaceship ends up like sinking into the lava or whatever. It was too fucked up for him to ride. So he ends up using one of Captain Ginyu's pods.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So because Yardrat was on Ginyu Force's hit list, so he basically punched a random button and it took him to Yardrat.
So how would he communicate with Earth in that situation?
No, because remember when 6 months later they summon the dragon, they say they want to bring Goku back to life, and the dragon's like, no, I can't bring him back to life because he's still alive, and they're like, okay, can you at least bring him here so we could see him? And then the dragon's like, he refuses. And they're like, why does he refuse? And he's like, he wants to train on Yardrat. He's not, and he has no idea when he'll be back. That's a bad dad point, dude. That's like, wouldn't the first thing you want to do is go home and see your son?
I don't know.
Like after all of that?
If you met the Yardratians, you'd want to do it too.
Bad dad point. He's at 3. I'm taking off his 4. He's 3. So he's still up 3. He's up 3.
You finally get to see what yard rats look like. They're beautiful. It's everything I've ever wanted.
Well, you don't see them in the manga.
Yeah, you do.
No, you don't.
In Super. That's canon.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
It's written by Toriyama. It's canon whether you like it or not.
Fuck you, it's not. It goes against like all of like Dragon Ball lore. It changes Goku's age. It makes basically half of the manga, the original manga, not make sense. It's not.
How does it change his age? Because they start it right at the end of the Buu saga versus.
Well, no, they make him like a 3-year-old when they send him to Earth, and they make it so that like he was sent to Earth on a peace mission, and like Bardock was trying to save him from Frieza. Yeah, that's.
I don't count that. I just read the manga.
That's not in the manga?
No.
Oh.
That was just a movie magic.
Yeah, you dropped the title of the podcast.
Yeah. But no, you see the Yardratians later on. They're pretty dapper, and they got cool abilities. So of course, okay. Goku lands he sees these like super awesome aliens that are like, you want to learn some cool tricks, and he's just like, sure. So yeah, somehow communicating that he's still alive would probably been good, but
Well, he communicated that he was still alive when the dragon tried to resurrect him, and the
How do you think
dragon's
that?
like, "Oh, he doesn't want to come
How
back.
do you think
How's
that
that going
worked?
to
Like
make his
Goku
son feel?"
started to teleport. He's like, no.
No, 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 no! Stop, stop, stop! Yeah,
Let's
no,
see.
fuck that. I mean, obviously
Okay. I want. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
obviously the teleportation comes in handy later, but like I'm just talking about like not Goku as a warrior, not Goku as the protector of the galaxy, not Goku as the guy that's like supposed to be the superhero. I'm talking about Goku as a dad.
Gohan would have given him a pass because he let him go Namek.
Don't give a fuck. Be there for your 6-year-old.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so he's up 3 though. He was a good dad this arc.
He's not as bad as Baki's dad. I've been reading that, and Baki's dad is just like, hey, son, you know what martial arts is about? Kills a bunch of people in front of his son. That's when you lose, is when you're dead. And he's just like, why did you do that? that's or Gon's dad, who straight up tells every friend he makes, like, hey, if my son ever comes asking for me, just give him one right here.
Yeah, Ging Freaks is at like -60 dad points by this point, and Ging Freaks is like proud of being a shitty dad.
Yeah.
Like that's what I love about him. And Gon doesn't care. Like that's why they're both so weird and perfect for each other.
It's like Bart and Homer. Like Bart's totally aware like Homer's not a good dad. Homer's just like, yeah, but you're a cool friend. Like,
yeah, it's like one of my favorite Simpsons quotes is Marge, a very hard day in a dad's life is when his son realizes that he's better than him at most things. Bart figured that out at the age of 4.
But what's it called? Destructo Disc.
Kianzan.
Yeah, the Kianzan.
Yeah. It's used by like 3 different characters in this arc.
Krillin does it, and then Vegeta does it, and then Frieza does it.
Yes.
And it's just funny because, like, I don't even think Frieza saw it. Yeah, it was used against him. So it makes me think, like, is it not that unique of a move? Is it, like, maybe a move that they are, like, everybody kind of can use the move, but it's a slow move,
I think, well, no, I think some people use it faster. I think Krillin's was just a shitty version because he had to figure it out on his own. But, like, I think Vegeta recognized the move and told Nappa to dodge it. Like, he knew that he could do it, and he knew that Frieza could do it. Like, I think it was a relatively common move. I think he was just surprised that an Earthling had figured it out of how to, like, flatten your ki and make it like a destructive disc.
Yes, a destructive disc.
Yes, that should be the name.
Either that, or just Frieza and Vegeta are really powerful people in said universe and just saw him use it and go, that's a neat trick, I'm gonna steal it. And just
I don't think that's the case. Like, just looking at how naturally they use it, it seems like they were at a further level of mastery than he was.
And later when Goku uses a Kamehameha, Vegeta gets pissed off because he's like, that's like my Giryaku Ho.
Gallic gun.
Yeah. But it's like Vegeta gets pissed off, like, these humans know how to do, like, beam attacks. This is bullshit. Like,
yeah.
Which makes
they could sense ki, they could do beam attacks, they could multiply their power. Fuck Earth.
You run up, you think they're weak, they're strong. What the fuck? Like,
yeah. That was like it was like kind of like when Israel Adesanya fought Kelvin Gastelum and thought he was just gonna walk through him, and then he's just like, oh wait, this guy's really fucking good. This guy's a scrapper.
Yeah, like, it's interesting to see how Vegeta just kind of mows through a lot of the Namek Saga characters. Like, you'd think, like, with them after getting beat, you'd think they put like a new power table like way higher up, which they did with Frieza. But it wasn't like Zarbon or Dodoria, where those were the next powerful guys along with Ginyu and them. Even then, like, Vegeta didn't like he killed like most of those people. Like, he murdered most of Frieza's guys.
Well, yeah, he walked through them, and then he found one that he couldn't beat. Then like came back stronger and beat that guy, and then found another guy he couldn't beat. Then came back stronger. But that's the whole Saiyan thing. That's the Saiyan perseverance. Like battles make you stronger. Getting near death makes you stronger. You come back from a near death injury, you're going to be a much more badass version of who you were before. And the enemies kept underestimating that, and that's why Vegeta. Huh?
Getting the angries.
Yeah, they get the angries.
I joke sometimes that if you want to write Dragon Ball Z, it's like the villain's like a pot of water, and to write, you just turn up the temperature on the burner until the flames just keep going more and more to address the problem.
That's a good analogy.
I mean, definitely when we hit Android Saga, things are going to change a little bit, but then I feel like the one where things get really weird is Majin Buu Saga with the whole like all these different characters. Well, it's kind of simple towards the end, but at least right now it's like interesting to see I like the whole Goku training thing. That was kind of like what he was doing to try and get as close to like what the Saiyan planet was by doing the enhanced gravity and whatnot. Oh yeah, we never mentioned how Tien and Piccolo had to tell a joke to King Kai.
Oh yeah, that was funny. This was the most challenging. I want to know what joke they told him to actually get to the next level of training.
I think honestly they probably asked Krillin and Chaozu to help, like throw us a bone.
Yeah.
Well, no, Krillin wasn't there. Damn it! See, if Krillin would have been better dead for then that point, because he would have been able to help them. But instead, he was alive.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they use Yamcha. Yamcha probably helped them out. He seems like the jokest guy there who would know jokes. Like most down to earth.
Well, one thing that I kind of hated about the whole King Kai thing is that, like, yeah, Yamcha, Tien, and Piccolo go and train at King Kai, but they don't adopt any of his moves. Like, they don't learn the Kaioken or the Spirit Bomb. So, what was the point of any of that?
Enhanced gravity for their ghost bodies, I guess. That's what got me is like he's trading in a ghost body, not even his real body, So it's like, all right, you're under 10 times the amount of gravity. Well, okay, he had his actual body with him.
Yeah, because they got to keep their bodies, yeah.
Okay.
But like they weren't ghosts. But anyway, what's your ratings? I give the Saiyan Saga 4 fake moons out of 5.
Yeah, I'd say so. I like it. The Vegeta fight, when reread it, it was actually longer than I recall. I feel like I was like, oh, there's a lot more to this. You get a lot of the characters. Yachirobe gets time to shine. I like it. So 4 out of 5.
So what's okay? Before what's?
Oh, 4 cut off tails out of 5.
All right, and then the Namek and Frieza sagas all combined, that whole Namek thing, I'm gonna give that a 4.5 blown up scouters out of 5.
Yeah, I'll give it 4.5 minutes. No, I'll give it 4.5 minutes till the planet is blown up.
All right, I like that one.
In the manga too, it's a lot better pace than the anime, where it's like, this is a tough old girl. I'd say she has 5 more minutes. 3 episodes later, like,
do you even know what a minute is?
But actually, in the manga, they even say like Frieza miscalculated. Like, all right, this planet's staying a little bit longer than I thought. And Goku points out, and I think this is significant to the time difference. Like, it's not a set time. Goku points out Frieza was bluffing when he blew up the planet because he wants to finish that fight with him. And he knows if he blew up the planet, it would be an easy out.
And Frieza's also not quite sure if he could survive it.
Yeah.
I think that's also a thing where it's like Frieza has a good chance of getting caught in the explosion and blowing himself up accidentally. Which, hey, he survived. He got cut in half and the planet blew up and he still survived.
He's a tough mofo.
He's a tough mofo, except against sharp objects.
Zach, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Wait, no, let's just end it here, okay?
Okay.
All right. So, this has been our episode on the Frieza and Namek and Saiyan sagas. Join us next week when we talk about our favorite green bio android. Yeah. Until then, watch the Dragon Ball Z anime, but more importantly, read the manga.
Yes.